Hey, what's going on, guys? It's been another week. Hope it's been good for you. Means you get another one of these. How have you been doing? Everything good? You going back to school? I know most of my friends who are still in school headed back. Very depressed. It was always so much worse going back to school after college than in high school. Because at least in my high school, it wasn't like you got a huge winter break. I think our winter break went from probably a week and a half before Christmas to the day after New Year's, 2 days after New Year's, depending on the weekend. So you were only getting a couple weeks. So it was kind of like you went into it with your expectations kind of lowered. Like, all right, a couple weeks off, I'll enjoy it, have some parties with friends, and then I'm back. With college, at least at Mizzou where I went, apparently it's even fucking longer than other schools because it's ludicrously long. It's like 6 weeks of no 7 weeks almost of Christmas break to where you almost forget that you're in school. Like the 6.5 weeks in, you're just living your life now, and you're like, oh fuck, like I'm still in school. I haven't graduated yet. I have to go back in 4 days, and I was supposed to do a ton of shit over this break that I didn't end up doing. So hopefully that professor just assumes that everybody didn't do it and just didn't hold us accountable. Um, yeah, that always sucked. At least now in the working world, you don't get a Christmas break, huh? You don't really get any breaks. You just get berated for not meeting deadlines and getting done what you need to get done, and having accounts and whatnot that are just difficult and irritating. And it's great. It's great. That's so negative on the working world. Honestly, like if I've heard so many people say, and I am still in this camp a little bit, being like, oh yeah, college are the best years in your life. And I guess I would still say that, kinda, but the people who say that the most are people in their mid-20s, like my age. It's not as often that you hear like a 48-year-old guy, or even a guy like Woody. Like I bet Woody wouldn't look back and say like, hey, college are the best years of my life, because he has so much life experience now that he can be like, yeah, college was fun, but probably the best experience of my life was having my children, getting married, having a happy family, moving to a wonderful estate, compound, if you will. So really, I think that college just seems like you'll never hit that high again when you leave it, just because you don't have anything else to fall back on. Like, it's infinitely better than elementary school, or primary school and secondary school, if you're from Hogwarts. Hogwarts was fucking weird. Harry was there for like a decade. Way too long to learn wizardry. Anyway, yeah, so I think that's the crux of it, you know? Like, even now, I haven't had enough life experience to say that, college is... Actually, that's not even true. I would say that once you get used to a job and you're comfortable in your working life and you have a nice, I guess, fun work balance in your life, if that's achievable, then it's definitely better than college. Because, I mean, yeah, you'll go home and you'll stress about work and whatnot, but at the end of the day, it's like, all right, it's 5 p.m., 6 p.m., whatever time your respective work gets off. I'm going to head home and then just enjoy my night. I'll do what I want. I don't have to think about this until tomorrow, unless I have to, which would suck. Homework from real work is even worse than homework from school, because at least with school you weren't under the presumption that you were going to get paid for it, but with work it's like, unless you're hourly, it's like, what the fuck? Now I'm not getting paid doing this shit. But yeah, I'd say that college seems like the best time of your life at the time, because it's the most independence you've ever had. But then when you get out into the working world, you see what like true independence is like. Like, there's not someone going to be constantly on your back badgering you to get things done like a college professor. At least like some college professors. God knows I had enough friends who fucked up in high school, or college rather, and didn't graduate because they expected professors in college to be more akin to teachers in high school, which, if you're about to go into college, don't expect that. Don't expect your professor to be like, oh, hey, little Teddy, I noticed I didn't get your worksheet, could you get that to me, please, at your convenience? Like, no, it's not going to work like that. They're not going to pay attention to you, and you're going to end up getting fucked because you're not going to do what you need to get done. What am I talking about? Anyway, this is the Truly Terrible podcast, episode 16 or something like that. I'm really considering, and I would appreciate if you guys could give some feedback, a comment, or tweet me about. You can always tweet me. I'm not super active on Twitter though. I try not to swamp you guys with content. Look at that. Look at me framing it like I'm benevolent somehow because I'm not joking around as much as I used to on Twitter. Look at how manipulative I am. What a cunt I am. I'm not that active on there. I'm trying not to flood your feeds. It's not because I didn't think of anything to tweet or just not in the mood for it. No. I'm outsourcing the onus of responsibility onto you. Yeah, let me know if you think it might be a good idea to move the show to Wednesday as opposed to Friday. If that's the case, then I start uploading these on Wednesdays, then I'm pretty sure that I'd be able to get Melissa to come on every week with me when she's not, she won't be as busy at work or whatnot if we just start doing it on Wednesday. It'll also give, I think, a little more cushion between when I upload and when PKA uploads on that Saturday. I initially just picked Friday because at the time that day works the best for me. It just does. Not like this is a huge amount of time anyway, a couple hours thinking about what I'm going to talk about, and then after I have my list of shit that I want to talk about, I end up just like touching on a tenth of it anyway because I go off on some random fucking tangent for no reason. So let me know if you think that would be better. I think Wednesdays might be the way to go moving forward. Not to say like, oh yeah, I mean, I'm so sorry, I'm stealing views from PKA, as fucking if. I'm not even on the same radar as a show of that magnitude. But anyway, let me know how you feel about that. I'd really appreciate it. Anywho, real quick with the Patreon, the next Skype chat with you guys is going to be early in this upcoming month of February. And so if you want to get involved in that, that's the 20 and up patrons. And if you want the bonus episode, which will be coming out around the same time, that's the 5 and up peeps. So and last month I did the meetup thing, and it was so goddamn difficult getting everybody together at the same time. I did a couple chats to try and compensate and make sure everybody could get in. And then with one of you in particular, I played just some COD for a little while with you just because I felt bad because you were too busy to make it to either of those. But this month I'm really going to try and push and get it all done in one sitting if possible. And those things are actually really fun. Like when I started it up, I'm not gonna fib to you. I was a little bit hesitant. I was like, is this going to be really awkward? Like, are they going to sit there and just expect me to just kind of go off and talk like I do? Like, are they going to sit there and be like, dance, monkey, make me giggle, or I'm out of here? And it wasn't like that at all. It was way more fun than I thought. The first one we ended up spending a long time, and the second one, we ended up the one just a couple weeks ago, I think we spent like 2.5, almost 3 hours just chatting, shooting the shit. So, yeah, I like, if you're from somewhere interesting in the world, not the United States. If you're from the United States, still feel free to be a patron, but if you're from somewhere like, not weird, but unique, like Finland or something, get in on that. I like asking questions like a complete child every time there's someone from a different country in there, just to kind of get a feel for what it's like, what's different, the little things, like just asking stupid shit like, do you have KFC? And they'll be like, from Denmark or something, be like, no, we don't have KFC, we have Igor's Chicken House, and it's not as good as the KFC you have there. We're not allowed to have trans fats because our socialist healthcare doesn't allow us to do certain things. Cigarettes are banned, but pot's fine. Prostitution's cool. What accent am I moving into right now? Sweden? It sounded almost like Taves, that was his name. I almost said Taves, the captain of the Chicago Blackhawks. Speaking of the captain of the Chicago Blackhawks, I couldn't have more respect for Jonathan Taves. He's an incredible leader. If the Blues had picked him instead of stupid fuck Eric Johnson, we would have had a Stanley Cup by now. Mark my words. Actually, mark my words, as if someone's gonna, go back in time and prove me wrong. What an easy bet to make, Taylor, you goddamn idiot. It's about Patrick Kane that Chicago shithawks they're entering into a little bit of trouble again. Just like 6 months ago, some girl was like, hey, Patrick Kane raped me. And for a while, everyone was like, what? Like, no way. That's crazy. And everybody was kind of distancing themselves. There were a lot of chants going on in arenas that, like, Kane's a rapist or whatever. I hate chants like that. Not because it's inappropriate, or just shitty for the guy getting chanted at, or if like what if there's a chick who because eventually they just dropped that case and it was like, oh, there wasn't enough evidence. Doesn't mean he did or didn't do it, but it's leaning towards the fact that he didn't. But what if there was some other chick in there who legitimately was raped in that area, and then she's like, oh, okay, so what I went through, it's kind of just a joke for everybody at this point. Like it's a way to get at this guy and just be disrespectful to him. But I don't know. I've never been in that situation, so who fucking knows? At the end of the day, you should be allowed to chant whatever you want. But if you're gonna make it a chant, at least have it chant, like have it be concise and fit a beat, So at least like Kane's a rapist. That's 4 syllables. So at least it's Kane's a rapist. I gotta clap through it like I did in 2nd grade. Kane's a rapist. Yes. So it is 4 syllables. So at least that fits together as a chant, and they didn't try and shoehorn like Patrick sexual assault or something silly like that. Anyway, but this Patrick Kane fellow, who's having the best season in the NHL of any player, just had another like blog post come out about how he after a playoff game with the LA Kings in 2014 in LA, he apparently went to a bar, according to this girl, and then took her into the bathroom after hitting on her for a while, and according to her, she was saying, I'm not interested, and then she went to the bathroom, and he just waltzed into the women's restroom, and for like 7 minutes, just fingered her and assaulted her, and I didn't see if like she said that he actually had sex with her or not, but it was written weirdly. Like, I read most of it, and it was written like fan fiction, and then I read a couple comments of people being like, be careful with what you take from this blog, because there's also posts on this blog of Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane sex fan fiction, like that fan fiction that people do if they're like super into like Power Rangers, and they'll independently write a bunch of stories about how they walk in on the Yellow Ranger changing, and then they end up fucking or something like that, and then they have to go protect the world from those weird clay monsters that the bad guys on the spaceship would release. You guys know the original Power Rangers, right? Excellent show. It wasn't. It was actually pretty shitty. Anyway, but yeah, it was weird hearing that it's like, okay, like if you're going to confess something like this or bring it to light, first of all, why didn't you do it when the media storm was hitting him for more efficacy? And second of all, why would you do it in a medium where just other people who haven't been assaulted but have a fetish for that, which if that's your fetish, is like this, it's not that uncommon a thing, like a rape fetish. If that's your thing, that's fine, and you should be able to write about it however you want, with involving any people you want. If that's what you're into, you should be able to do it, as long as it's clear that like this isn't an accusation, it's just what you're into. And just because you're fucking into that doesn't mean you really want to get raped. It just means that like that's the fantasy for you. It's much more common than I thought it was. So she wrote all of that, and it was phrased weirdly, almost like she was into it, saying like his hands were so strong, they covered my whole shoulder, and he has such strong hands, and that kept getting brought up of he has strong hands, to the point of like that's not what you would be saying, I wouldn't think, if this was a real situation. It was too intentionally... It just didn't strike me as the way someone who was violated would talk about their violation, in a way almost like sensualizing it and making it hot, like they were looking back on it semi-fondly. It was weird. I looked into it, or thank God, other people looked into it for me, because I didn't want to do all the research. But apparently, after that playoff game, they were due back in Chicago for a game the next night, and the whole team flies together. So in the 2 hours after the game, it seems very unlikely that they just got through everything that you do after the game. They did their post-game workout, they did their ice baths, they did their interviews, they did their packing, they got everything on transport, and then they found time to just go futz around at a bar for a while and then assault someone and then hop on a plane and make it back to Chicago. Like, that doesn't make sense. She also claimed that it happened on a Sunday and the game happened on a Saturday and they were back in Chicago on that Sunday. It was a bunch of weird little mistakes in a story that makes sense if it's like this is a fantasy that this person was writing out. It makes sense because you're not really bogged down in the details if you're writing a sexual fantasy. But if you're writing like an actual report of like this is what happened to me and everybody needs to know it, it seems like this lady purportedly would have taken a lot more time to get the like tiny facts straight. Like she would have figured out like, oh yeah, they did leave on that Saturday night right after the game against the Kings. Which another thing, it's like this is the Stanley Cup playoffs. Like this is I believe it was the round right before the Stanley Cup, the semifinals. I'm terrible at remembering the names, the conference finals. So you expect people to believe that right after a game against the Kings in LA country, the most popular, best player on the Blackhawks goes to a popular bar and then just finds time to go to the women's bathroom in a bar for 7 minutes and be unaccosted. Like he can just waltz in there. Like that seems remarkably unrealistic. First of all, that no one else would walk into a woman's bathroom at a busy bar for 7 minutes. I've been to a lot of bars in my day and I've never seen a woman's bathroom go untouched for 7 minutes. Never. Not once. It doesn't happen. And also just that he could waltz in there and then just leave and no one would be noticing. No one would have a camera phone on arguably the most famous player in the National Hockey League while he just waltzes into the women's restroom. Like, there's just too many holes for it. But of course, today's culture, you're not allowed to say there's a lot of holes and this seems dubious. You have to go out of your fucking way to be like, oh yeah, well, I'm not saying he didn't do it, but I am saying that the evidence seems to line up to the contrary. Because, God forbid you say anything about the facts and someone will ascribe the term rape apologist to you just because you're paying attention to the facts. I was pretty much sold that he did it earlier this year. Like, I was pretty convinced. Honestly, not even because of the evidence, just because I was like, yeah, he's had stories of being crazy in the past. That wouldn't surprise me if he did something like what he did, was accused of, but acquitted of, I guess, earlier this year. And then when all the facts started coming out of the mom and the girl who was accusing, and there was a lot of specious information about the rape kit and all that shit. And then at that point, I kind of backed off. I was like, all right, well, maybe there's a possibility he didn't do it, but this person coming out the second time, this just, it's beyond the pale. There's no way. This seems like there's way too many factual inaccuracies for it to be real. Which, if it is, I don't know. I'll stop fucking talking about that because it's not going to achieve anything. But, yeah, earlier this year, I was pretty much on the team. I was convinced he did it until late in the case. And then now I'm just, no. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't add up. As anything more than like some odd fan fiction that didn't even bother to research the details. Anywho, wow, fucking interesting, Taylor. You just keep going about that, why don't you? Goddamn idiot. So we were talking about Bernie Sanders, huh? You guys like Bernie? I actually don't dislike the guy as much as you might think, but I also am getting really agitated at the whole, I guess, trope of it being like, hey, I don't like Trump, I don't like Bernie, I don't like Hillary, but of all those people, it's like Bernie's the only one who seems like he's trustworthy and that he wants the best for me and that he's honest, He may not be able to get everything done that he wants, but at least he's being honest, And in that case, it almost makes me think like, okay, so if he is truly being honest and trying to be honest with you, the potential voter, then he's an idiot. If he actually thinks that all of these things he's promising, free healthcare, free education, higher minimum wage, all of this is achievable by just taxing the richest of the rich, then he's delusional. And being that delusional is no better than a Republican, like Ted Cruz. He's saying like, we're going to get rid of gay marriage, we're going to abolish that. Like, in his heart of hearts, he knows that there isn't a fucking chance, there isn't a prayer that he's going to turn back time on gay marriage or abortion. He knows that. Intellectually, he knows that, but he has to run on the stance that he's going to do it. Similarly, Bernie Sanders, unless he is so deluded and he thinks his plan will work, in which case, even worse than being, misleading, he's an idiot, he has to know that, hey, this free healthcare, free education stuff, it's not going to work. It's not how the world works. Someone would have fucking done this if it was as simple as he's leading people to believe. It's just his brand of dishonesty is swaying to people. I don't understand it. Maybe it's the way he delivers it. Maybe it's they think, oh, he's just doing his best, and he really does have everybody's best interest in mind. No, how is a potential candidate outright lying any different from a candidate making huge promises that they know they can't deliver on? Like, do you think Obama really, really thought that he was going to be able to waltz into the... How many times have I said waltz in during this podcast? What the fuck? Is that the word of the week? Yeah, word of the week, waltz. How many times do you think he really sat down and thought, I'm going to go into the White House and I'm going to shut down Guantanamo Bay, day one, just like I promised? No, because he's not an idiot, and he knew he would have to promise some shit that he also knew is unachievable. Especially in the short term, perhaps in any term. It's been 8 years and Guantanamo Bay is still open, and now people are saying, well, he's going to shut it down, his last week in office. Really? Why didn't you do that 4 years ago, you fuck? You knew you couldn't get reelected again. Oh, because that's not your priority. You just misled and lied to people. So I don't like this whole deification of Bernie Sanders as though he is the standard of honesty and virtue to aspire to, and that all the other ones are outright lying, Sure, Trump says a bunch of stupid, lying shit. So does Hillary. But don't let that dissuade, or I guess convince you that Bernie isn't doing the same fucking shit. He knows, unless he is a stone-cold retard, he knows that what he's saying isn't achievable by a long shot. And that's, in my book, that's exactly the same thing as lying. He's lying by omission. By omission and by just avoiding questions. I guess that is omission. Avoiding questions and critiques of his tax plan, things like that. Intentionally phrasing things so that people listening to him will be like, oh, he's just talking about those multi-millionaires to tax. He's not talking about me. Not talking about me, Mr. Middle of the Road, what I would call, middle income, in air quotes, guy. Not talking about me. Yeah, he is. And it's misleading and borderline on outright lying to ignore that. And that's just, I don't know. I know some of you are Sanders fans, and that's fine. As far as the character of him, I'd say that he is definitely better and has a better, I guess, not, his plan is awful, but he, in his heart of hearts, I think that he wants to help more than someone like Hillary. I definitely think that's true, but I don't like the carte blanche, he's not as bad as Hillary, so he gets a free pass, all of what he says, it's much more convenient to just accept everything that he says and discount everything that Hillary says than it is to look at it in depth and be like, even though we really like this guy, this isn't coming off as 100% honest, This is coming off as borderline propaganda and claiming we can achieve things that he knows isn't possible. At least in the time frame he's giving, which he's 74 fucking years old, so he better be on a fucking tight time frame if he gets elected, because imagine the shit fit if he gets into office and then dies like 2 months later. Oh my god. With Trump as his VP. Perfect world. Anyway, I don't dislike Bernie Sanders. I don't like his policies or anything, but I don't think he's a bad guy. Certainly a better person than Hillary for the job. But just if you're a big fan of his, at least take a step back and look at it honestly. Look at all that shit, because there's no chance that he's going to be able to do all these promises that he's guaranteeing. No way. And I don't like the free pass that he seems to get all around. Really? You want to say it again, Taylor? You fucking retard? Anywho, so going into this one, I'm resolute with myself. I'm not going to keep babbling about anything else on my list. I can save that. I'm going to get into the questions, because I've noticed when I have Melissa on, we tend to start the questions and topics that you guys send in past the halfway point, which I don't like doing. I like getting to it right at the halfway point. So look at this. 6 minutes before the halfway point, and you're getting the questions answered. Wow, look at this guy. What a great guy. Even better than Bernie Sanders. All right. Hey, Taylor, thanks for answering my long-distance question on episode 8. This is from a patron who gets their questions answered if they are 5 and up, I believe, guaranteed. Or maybe 10 and up. I don't know. I don't fucking know. Go to the site. Link below. Thanks for answering my long distance question on episode 8. I followed your advice and didn't reach out to my ex. Wonderful. Good job. Stay strong. Turns out she had indeed met another guy, despite what she was saying when we were still talking. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Taylor's not so dumb right now, is he? He knew what that slut was up to. He knew. Why am I talking about myself in the third person? Anyway, I'm not writing about this. Oh, then I'm glad you included that first paragraph. I'm fucking with you. I met this girl before the Christmas break, and we are now friends with benefits. We've agreed to not get attached and not have a proper boyfriend-girlfriend relationship because at the end of January and for the rest of the semester, she'll be studying a couple hours from my city and be there only on the weekend. So this is mainly a sex thing with her. Good luck with that. She is going to get attached to you because that is the nature of this. Either she'll get attached to you or you will get attached to her because that's kind of the evolutionary imperative of sex is that you get more attached to the people that you're having it with. Especially women. They're, your modus operandi in life, you want to get out there and sow your seeds, go around, sow them. But women, they don't really want a bunch of guys sowing seeds in them. They want the best seeds. They want the Monsanto's own highest quality genetically engineered seeds, unless they're like some vegan hippie whore, in which case, who cares? You shouldn't be banging them anyway. You're going to get hep C. So it's mainly a sex thing with her. For now it is, but you're going to be in deep shit if this ends up her being like, you know what, I'm actually not going to school anymore. I transferred classes to where you are. Isn't that great? Now we can hang out all the time, and now it's a relationship, basically, but you're going to have to break up with me, even though we're never officially going out, because we fucked a few times, and you feel guilty enough to take me to lunch because I gave you the butthole. The thing is, I'm just kind of ready for something more, and for that to happen, I need to find another girl. But at the same time, the sex with the current girl is just great. Best I've had in the last 18 months. Very specific. So I want to keep getting some. My question is, would it be an asshole move to start looking for someone else while having sex with her? I wonder because we've agreed to nothing more. So is it a bad thing to do? Or should I just cut ties before? Sorry if it's a bit long. Thanks in advance for the answer. P.S. Please keep Melissa on. It's great to have the point of view of another person. I know it is. If she weren't so busy today, I would have had her on. Yeah, so you would not be an asshole at all for looking for another girl right now. If what you said is true, then you already established that she and you are not trying to start anything. You're just trying to have some fun sex and enjoy yourself. So, also just think, do you really, is she into you enough that you think she's sitting during the week, not going to any, thirsty Thursday night parties and, maybe hooking up with another guy? Like, you don't know what she's doing over there. There's no reason for you to save yourself for her during the week if she's over there enjoying herself. Just do whatever you want. It's no relationship. It's perfect. You got a weekend fling, and you'll maybe find someone better. And if you find someone that you enjoy more as a relationship is concerned, you can cut things off with this girl. Just make sure those things don't overlap. Don't let it be like, oh, I asked this girl out, for coffee tomorrow, but Susie Q from her school out of the area is coming back in town. I'll get it in one more time. No, because that'll come up eventually, and you'll be in deep shit. So, yeah, I would say go for it, and give him hell, guy. Give him hell. All right. Next patron question. Jesus Christ, you writing a book here, dude? Hey Taylor, I'm a big fan, and please keep this anonymous and call me slut. Anyway, here's my Am I the Asshole? So last year, when I was a senior in high school, I had a small group of friends that stuck around together and hung out and stuff like that. There was a friend in my group, we'll call him Kevin. I just lost my place like an idiot. Who I was best friends with and had best friends with throughout high school. Him and my girlfriend were also really good friends, and she considered him one of her best friends also, even though they had only been friends since the beginning of the year. So friends transitively through you. I know how that goes. Fast forward to now, and I'm in the second semester of my freshman year of college. Me and Kevin had a sort of falling out. He turned into a giant fuck ass, and my girlfriend and some of my other friends thought the same thing. Just today, my girlfriend told me that Kevin texted her asking the obvious question. Kevin texted her asking the obvious question. I asked what he said, and she said he was just asking how things were. I didn't go any further into asking exactly what he said or for screenshots of their chat log. Yeah, that's good. If you do that the first time any guys text her, you come off as desperate and not trusting, and that's a turn off. So yeah, you only do stuff like that if it becomes a trend. I just kind of left it at that, but I can't help but feel like there's something else going on, and it isn't just a friendly conversation. Am I the asshole for being paranoid and thinking Kevin might be trying to steal my girl? Sorry for being this long, but there's a bit more. I'll tie it off right there and get back into it in a sec. You're not being an asshole for being paranoid and thinking Kevin might be trying to steal my girl. If you are a lady listening to this and you have a boyfriend and there is another guy that is your boyfriend's friend who is super friendly to you, a little too friendly maybe, if your boyfriend weren't in that picture, that guy would try to fuck you. You know, the only thing keeping that guy from trying to bang you is the fact that she's currently, or that other guy is there present. Like, men and women, we're just not compatible to be. We can be friends, but it always seems so far. Like if you have any, no, why am I trying to be PC here? Men and women can't be friends like men and men can, or women and women can, with no sexual interest. Even if, though, I believe that it's one way possible for a woman to be friends with a guy with no sexual interest in that direction, but a guy will not be friends with a woman unless there is some sexual interest keeping him involved there. You know, thinking about, like, you know, someday, you know, oh, that'd be great if Susie would fuck me or let me fuck her or whatever. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. They will fuck you given the chance, and that's what your buddy Kevin, he has no more loyalty to you. You had a falling out. He has no more incentive to not bang your girlfriend. If you had a bad falling out, if anything, he has an incentive to humiliate you and steal her away from you, or at least ruin your relationship by sabotaging it with a hookup or something like that. So yeah, you're not being paranoid, especially in the situation you're in. So yeah, you should maybe, if you get another comment about it, or if you bring it up maybe a week from now, being like, hey, has Kevin hit you up anymore? Like, that's weird. And she's like, yeah, he keeps texting me. Then you should be like, what's he saying? Like, then you should push it a little bit and make it more of like a you're curious about what he's saying instead of you're curious about how she's responding, so she doesn't feel like she's on the chopping block. Even though if she continues to respond to this guy and he's said anything sexual whatsoever and she hasn't either informed you or completely cut off communication with him, that's already a red flag, because it just means that she's biding her time until maybe you get in a stupid, pithy fight, and then she has a way to immediately get revenge on you, and she's not thinking clearly by heading over there and having sex with him. So you're not being paranoid, because shit like this does happen. And yeah, if you're one of the, I don't know, 13 female listeners I have out there, and you think that you have a guy friend that's 100% platonic, ask him if he wants to have sex. And then come back and be sure to comment that, hey, Taylor, you were right. What a mean-spirited thing to say. What an asshole. Why would I even say that? Anyway, my girlfriend, this is back to the email, my girlfriend, who is a year younger than me, is going to be attending the same college that me and Kevin go to next year. I'm worried that Kevin might try to make a move, and it would also be uncomfortable for me if they hung out together when I wasn't there, which would likely be as they are still on good terms. Ooh. Yeah, this is I should have bided my time on responding to this, I guess, because if they're still on good terms, then you need to make a line in the sand that, hey, I'm not cool with that guy anymore, and I'm not cool with you associating yourself with him. At least play it by ear. You don't want to be doing that right now, coming off as desperate. But if this does continue, you need to take a hard stance on that, because otherwise you're going to get cheated on. It's going to ruin your confidence, and then you're going to hate Kevin and this chick. It's going to dominate your thought process. It'd also be uncomfortable for me if they hung out together and I wasn't there, which would be likely as they are still on good terms. No, that's not cool. If Melissa had a friend that she had a falling out with, and I went over and just hung out with that friend one-on-one, that's wildly inappropriate. She has a reason to be pissed at me, being like, what the fuck? Like, why are you hanging out with this chick one-on-one when we had a falling out? You're not even friends with her anymore. You're kind of acquaintances through me, but now I'm not into her, so what are you doing? Like, when I left that friendship, you left that friendship transitively, because that's how relationships work. You don't just get to stick around and go hang out with a bunch of singles whenever the mood takes you. Yeah, that's fucking ridiculous. That if she would even hang out with him, even if she could assure you they were just seeing a movie or watching Netflix or whatever, doing whatever the hell they were doing, not even fucking, that's still, that would be over for me. Where it's like, oh yeah, that guy that I had a big falling out with, you just went and hung out with him one-on-one for an evening? Yeah, fuck you. Like, no, that's done. That's ridiculous, because that's a slippery slope that gets slippery real quick. Maybe 2 hours into that, she slips and they're banging. Like, that's icky. That's gross. Would I be an asshole if I asked her to not talk to him anymore and just completely stay away from him? No. No. No, you would not be an asshole. The only danger there is that women will be like, oh, well, jealousy turns women off, which is like, oh, well, okay. So basically you're saying that me having any forthright thinking and being prepared in the event that you could cheat and take advantage of me is jealousy, and therefore that turns you off. Oh, that's very fortunate for you. What a convenient turn off. Ooh, wow, interesting. It's almost as though you don't want to get caught, and that's why you get turned off. Oh, being audited on my taxes, that's a huge turn off, Oh, it's not the fact that I don't want to get caught. No, 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 no. It's just the fact that auditing as a whole, I hate the way it's spelled. I hate that T at the end, audit. Hate it. No, it's fucking stupid. So, I love you and fuck Kevin. That's what the last line of it is. So, take that advice. It says here, last line. It would be safe to add that I'm 99.99% sure she would never cheat on me, and I'm 100% certain that she isn't attracted to Kevin too. You can never be that sure that someone won't cheat on you. I'm sorry, but it can happen. It's not some huge buildup that causes someone to cheat. Sometimes it's in the moment, you get in a stupid argument, and then one person is given an opportunity, and bang, it happens. Yeah, you certainly don't want to be like, don't talk to him anymore, it makes me insecure. But you definitely do want to be like, hey, how about you and I talk about your current relationship with this dude, because it's really not cool that you're hanging out with a guy that I had a huge falling out with, like that's wildly inappropriate, and it has no place in a relationship. That's silly. Anywho, so hopefully that advice helped for you, buddy. Let me get the other questions. Which are, why the fuck is this not letting me sign in? Are you shitting me? God, son of a... why did it make me make so many of these fucking accounts? These goddamn Google Plus accounts. Is this it? Is this my password? What the fuck is my password? Thank God. Alright. So we're going to get to some of these messages. Oh, we didn't have this pulled up beforehand, Taylor? You fucking idiot. Yeah, of course not. Of course I didn't. Yeah, sure. Ask me later about these new partnership programs, YouTube, because I don't have fucking time for it. Alright. Hopefully that helped for you, though, in all seriousness. Hey, Murka, I love the podcast and your work on PKA. My friend is in this relationship with a girl for 3 years now, and at the beginning of the relationship, everything seemed fine, and they worked well. But for the past 2 months or so, he's been telling me that they've been fighting a lot, and the relationship has been pretty close to ending. But after he tells me these things, they always... Oh, excuse me, just had like a weird burp/hiccup. But after he tells me these things, they always seem to go back to being fine. Lately, though, he's been more and more annoyed about the relationship, and it seems to be affecting him in a bad way, and he's been asking me for advice on what to do. I feel like I should tell him to break up with her, because that seems like the best move, but I also feel like, who the hell am I to tell him to break up with this girl? What should I do? And sorry if I sent this twice. I may have accidentally pressed send halfway through. That's all right, buddy, Mistakes happen. Some people just aren't that bright, I'm fucking with you. Anyway, yeah, if it's bad enough that you're noticing fights with him and his chick constantly coming up in your conversation when she's not around, then yeah, it's even worse than you can imagine, because he's probably doing his best to withhold that information and seem like he's doing better than he actually is, as is tradition and usually happens in relationships. You want to put your best foot forward. You don't want everybody else in the world to know that you suffer from the same issues and relationship quarrels that they deal with. You want you to be like, oh, let's argue about this stupid shit later. Now let's get out of the car and go into the house and have a nice family Christmas. I swear to God, Kevin. I swear to fucking God, Kevin, if you bring that up again, if you put your shit on my side of the vanity sink in the bathroom again, I will fucking kill you. I will cut your cock off in your sleep. My fucking God. God damn it, Sarah. You've been a bitch and you've always been a bitch. And just, then you have to get out and be like, oh, hey, brought the casserole. Oh, I love your casserole, Karen. And just stupid shit like that. I got way too loud there for a second. Anyway, so I would say you don't need to tell him what to do. Don't tell him, break up with this chick, because then it'll almost be like, he doesn't know what's best for me. I'm the one in the relationship. I can make my own decisions. But just be like, just ask him, be like, do you think it's time that this is over, man? Like, seems like you've been, having a lot of trouble. Just plant the seed. That's all you have to do. It's not your job to walk to, hold his hand through the whole thing. Just plant the seed, and that'll guarantee it'll make him think about it even more. And maybe you'll be the guy in 4 months that you're sitting down with him, getting a beer that he's bought you as a thanks for opening his eyes to how much of a bitch his ex was. Anyway, truly terrible question. Hello, my name is Jokey, and I'm a dude from Sweden. I noticed you have mentioned Sweden a couple times, and I am wondering if you can tell me what you know about Sweden. It would be fun to hear what an American knows about Sweden. Love the podcast. So, Jokey, what I know about Sweden so far is that this is like a 4-sentence message to me, and there's like 5 exclamation points. So you must be a very happy, festive people. You're so happy that you're just sitting down right into this shitty podcast going, I'm from Sweden. What do you know about it? I love hearing about Americans knowing about Sweden. Love it. Love the show. Just screaming. Or I guess Sweden, we love the show. I love the American podcasts. That's horrible. I don't know. I know Stockholm is a place there, right? I know it's cold and there's snow. I know you guys are like the most liberal country on the planet. I know that you have been having a bit of a rape issue with immigrants from certain areas in the past few years that your liberal media can't fully decide of, are we going to stick with the people that rape is bad, or are we going to be too afraid to mention it for fear of being labeled racist? So I know that's been an issue there, I guess. I know that you have a decently good hockey team, pretty good hockey up there in Sweden. I know Alexander Steen. He's a player for the St. Louis Blues, my favorite team, obviously, and I believe he's from Sweden. You can also tell Swedes in the NHL during interviews because they do a much better job of sounding like an American than people from other countries. Like someone from the Czech Republic or Czechoslovakia, because, they're usually older guys, so they were born in Czechoslovakia when that was still a thing. They have, like, a strong accent that it's almost still difficult to understand them when it's like, dude, you fucking lived here for 15 years. You think you'd pick up the pieces, kind of, but they're still struggling. Russian guys, they never get rid of that accent. They're still a little difficult to understand always, unless they've been in the league, like, as long as Ovechkin. And even then, it's still very apparent, but, like, Swedish guys seems like they just drop the accent off in some ways and completely adopt the American way of speaking, unless I'm totally misinformed here, which is possible. But that's what I've noticed in the few post-game interviews of shit that I've watched, which I really don't pay attention to post-game interviews for any sport. I don't like the silly questions and watching the guy who's so clearly winded and like, and the other guy's like, so you noticed that you were skating real quick down the right side of the ice at the end there, opened it up for a pass. What was going through your head? Just trying to, just trying to get the puck in the net. Oh, that's great. You had a great game. We're really happy to see you guys succeeding. All right, this has been, Jeff Thompson. See you next time. I just don't like those. It's uncomfortable. But the Swedish guys seem to do a good job. I guess that's all I know about Sweden. You guys eat rotten fish out of tins? I think I watched a YouTube video about some little kids eating some sort of rotten fish out of a tin. So I'm pretty much the beacon of culture. Hey, Merka, love the podcast. I would like to remain anonymous, as you shall. So I'm 16 years young, junior in high school. What douche you? I hate when people say that. It's so. I guess it's not bad when you say it and you're 16, but when you say, like, I'm 52 years young, and I want to know how to ask my mom to get me circumcised. Okay. All right, let's see where this took a turn. I've seen the video where you talk about circumcision, but it's a hard thing to clean with the foreskin, for me at least. These are my fears with getting circumcised, though getting my tip cut off or cut, getting an infection, and a bad job being done, like leaving it uneven, lol. Anyway, if you could help, that would be great. Have a good day, dude. Honestly, dude, you could not have sent this to a less qualified person as far as foreskin. Like, sending this question to even girls who have handled and sucked uncircumcised dick have more experience with an uncircumcised dick than me. I've only seen them, like, when I've showered after hockey and there's been a dude who hasn't been circumcised, or, I have no experience with an uncircumcised dick. I don't know. Like I've been circumcised my whole life, or I guess the first 20 minutes were my glory days when I had a full functioning foreskin as evolution intended, and then the Jews came. No, I'm kidding. And then some doctor. Actually, no. I think it was probably a Jewish guy, most likely. Maybe, I don't know. I'm making that up. Then I got circumcised, and as they ignored my little child screams as they mutilated my genitals when I was 20 minutes old, they put a bandage on it and then sent me on my merry way. And thankfully, I've heard of horror stories with circumcision that it can just go horribly wrong and ruin your dick and make it so, like the skin's too tight or something like that, or that it just like it can just like make it look weird. Tons of stuff. I'm very fortunate that none of that happened with me. And I'm sure for most people it doesn't happen, otherwise you wouldn't have continued it this long, But even like a small percentage of guys getting their dicks fucked up for life because of a circumcision, that's too many to risk, Too many. I don't know what you mean by it's hard for you to clean. Like, is it too tight? Does that mean that like you can't pull the foreskin back over the head of your dick and clean under there? If that's the case, then yeah, maybe you're one of those guys. I think it's called like phimosis, something cis, where your foreskin's really tight, and then they have to remove it so that you can have comfortable sex, and like your dick isn't being like bound up way too tight all the time, getting gross. So maybe don't even, if it's embarrassing for you, don't even ask your mom about circumcision in particular. Tell her that you're feeling a little under the weather or something, you need to go to the doctor, and just go to the doctor. And when you do for your checkup, or say that you're feeling weird and you need a physical, I guess, I don't know what country you're in, probably not the U.S. because you're uncircumcised, but a physical is just where you get your whole body. It's like when you take your car in to get it inspected, like the safety inspection. They just kind of run you through the whole gamut, where it's like, open your mouth, looking good, lift up your underarm, let me feel your lymph nodes, turn your head and cough, let's pop a couple fingers up that butthole, feel around a bit, see if something sparks. You know how it is, you know how doctors are. Just do that, ask for a physical, and when he or she, the doctor, is inspecting that area, be like, yeah, it's really uncomfortable for me in that region. Do you think circumcision might be right for me? And then you can start a conversation. Or you can just buck up and be like, hey, Mom, my dick skin's getting out of control down there. It's way too tight, Mom, with my dick skin. And then she'll be like, all right, Jesus, okay, we'll take you to the doctor. So, yeah, there's two routes you can take, and those are the only two. Make your choice. Hey, Taylor, just wondering if you think... wait... Okay. Hey, Taylor, just wondering what you think of contemporary feminism moving away from empowerment and converging their efforts on sensitivity. It seems they merely use political issues that genuinely exist as a method of perpetuating an arbitrary and baseless social revolution, which instills, the idea that women are sensitive to social conventions, such as minor street compliments they exaggerate as catcalling and must be treated as delicate souls. Well, sounds like you've already got your mind made up. Because, yeah, that was a very pointed question. I do agree with you, though. I really hate the idea that women are somehow oppressed in the Western world nowadays, when it seems like, to me, every opportunity is given to them, even exceeding that given to male counterparts. Every opportunity, every encouragement, the education system contoured specifically to their needs, the court system contoured specifically to favor them, even not just from divorce or anything like that, but also just crimes in general. You're going to get more crime, or more time rather, if you're a white guy than a white girl, or even more so if you're a black guy than a white girl, for all the same identical crimes with the same previous crimes. It's just the way it works. You have an inherent bias as humans to want to believe women in what they say. It's called an in-group bias. So evolutionarily, women would band together and they would have an in-group bias, If a woman said something to the big group of berry pickers around there, they were more inclined to take the side of that woman, and because they had strength in their numbers, It wasn't like gorillas where they would take the side of the one alpha male to try and get his favor, because that's not how humans evolved. There wasn't just some, alpha gorilla male with a harem of 20 women around him. That's not how it happened. And so there's an in-group bias there, that women are more likely to take the side of other women, and men have an out-group bias. where men are more likely to take the side of women because men want sex, and just like the old Bill Burr joke of we listen and we put up with their shit because we want to fuck them. Like that's it never has something more true been said in jest, which is why I love Bill Burr. He's fucking hilarious. He takes things that are true and then amplifies them to the millionth degree, and then kind of shines a light back on society and gives you a better way to kind of, I guess, perceive what's going on around you. Regardless, enough of me jerking him off for this week. So, yeah, the whole feminism thing, it's aggravating. It's mostly aggravating, not even because, and I think that a lot of other guys are on the same boat as me. It's not that, like, you just hate the idea, like, but none of these guys I think of that hate feminism are like, fuck women, getting uppity, thinking they deserve rights and whatnot. Like, no, guys don't care about that. No, it's just the current incarnation of feminism is a constant seeking of victimhood, either self-prescribed or on behalf of others, ascribing victimhood on behalf of other women around them, and because victimhood in modern society is a power play. You have power through victimhood because people will be too afraid to go against you because, God forbid, they be a victim blamer and un-PC. So there's power through victimhood, and they've seized that, pulling it in hand over fist, just trying to take advantage of the media, which is too afraid to take an honest look at shit. God forbid, you look at facts when emotion could get in the way. And so it's mainly just guys, I think, who are really pissed off at, like, the constant barrage of, men are the problem, men are the issue. Look at what men do. Look at, this white school shooter, white men, God, are they ever going to get under control? Meanwhile, like, 600 women that day raked their man over the coals in divorce court, and that's not indicative of all women, of course not. But you also have to remember, in those divorce courts, women can get fucked over too, and it's like, oh my God, are we this far gone that we can't just talk about things honestly? It's just men are tired of being called pieces of shit just by virtue of their existence, Tired of being not able to express their opinions in education, particularly in those PC bullshit classes, for fear of either the PC teacher denigrating them for it, or just having everyone in the class be against them from the inception of their argument just by virtue of the fact that they're a white man, which means that their word, or a black man talking about feminism, that their word is somehow less valuable. Like, obviously a black guy's word in a liberal progressive class is going to be worth more than a white guy's word, and a white woman's word is going to be worth more than a black guy's word, but a black woman's word is going to be worth more than a white woman's word, and a black guy's word, and a white guy's word especially, and it just, all of the identity and gender politics, it's like moving so far from judging an argument based on its merits to judging it based on who's saying it is really shitty, and people are tired of it, and it's going to continue for as long as people allow these progressives, so to speak, big air quotes there, to continue to call themselves victims just for having their ideas scrutinized and having all of mainstream media too terrified to call them out on it, for fear of them now being whatever ist is trending on Twitter that day. I don't know. I really don't care for it. It is not at all reminiscent of feminism when it was a good thing, when women were fighting for their right to vote and whatnot, like back when it was necessary. They've completely perverted a once great ideology that helped women to become equal in society. Like, and it's not just I'm not one of those guys who's like, even in the 80s feminism was good. It's just in the last couple of years. Like, no, it's been shit for a long time because women have been equal for a long time. And the pendulum is swinging so far the other way that it's becoming patently obvious to anyone out there in the world, in my age group at least, someone like 45, 50, they're going to have a different experience to look back on. Someone in their late teens, early 20s, mid-20s, they're just like Milo said a couple weeks ago on PKA. Like, it's noticeable when you're in this age range that, like, yeah, I wasn't really given any benefits for being a guy. I didn't really get an edge over anyone. If anything, I kind of got ripped on more in class and was told to be put on medicines to keep me under control. Like, I don't really see this big cabal of chauvinists who are just handing out cookies on the playground and spitting in a little girl's faces. Like, I'm sorry, but that's not the reality I grew up in. Anywho. All right, next one. I am 13 years old, and I went to my dad's house, and he wants to get a concealed carry. We are in California. I thought that was a necessary detail. It is a necessary detail. Much harder to get one in Cali. He wants to get a 38 or a 9mm. I don't know if he understands you want to get a light gun. I would ask on PKA, but I am too poor. Anyways, thanks and love your podcast here, and you being on PKA is like the best. Sorry for this break of text. I am a kid, so haha. Any advice at all? It's really oh, that's really good. You just completely embraced it. Like, hey, sorry for not putting any fucking paragraphs in, but I'm a kid, so what the fuck are you gonna do? Oh, that's funny, dude. Yeah, how am I supposed to get mad at you? You were born in 2003. I was seeing Lord of the Rings: Return of the King when you were in your mom's belly, maybe. That's fucking weird that you were listening to this wildly inappropriate podcast now. Does your dad know you're listening? Anyway, so as far as advice on the concealed carry thing, my handgun is too big to concealed carry. I have a SIG P226 9mm, and Melissa's gun is bordering on too big to conceal carry for her, because she's a small girl. For me, it would be perfect. She has a Smith & Wesson 357 Magnum revolver, 5-shot. I don't remember what frame it is. I think it may be like the Pro Series, something like that. It's a very nice handgun. Maybe a tad too large for her to carry concealed comfortably, but for me it would be great. If your dad is not into shooting regularly and doesn't have a lot of experience with guns, he should absolutely go for a revolver as opposed to a semi-automatic gun. If you're not used to firearms and you shoot a semi-automatic pistol for the first time, a lot of times your wrist will be a little more flimsy than you would anticipate from watching movies of people shooting those guns one-handed, and the shell will get caught in the slide as it's ejecting, and that can be a bit of a bitch. Whereas with a revolver, it's a wheel gun. It's gonna fucking work. Like, you're not gonna. Worst case scenario is you've got, a hunk of metal that you can bludgeon the guy with across the face. So absolutely, regardless of how experienced he is, I say go for the revolver in the instance of a concealed carry. Specifically, I would say go for the Ruger LCR, hammerless Ruger LCR, chambered and 357 Magnum, but that also fires 38s, so he could get that too. When he's taking it to the range, he can plink around with 38, 38 plus P, whatever he wants to do, and then when he actually is packing to go to the store or whatever, going to get some more cigarettes at 7-Eleven, better be careful, and he can just throw in 357 rounds, or even just throw in 38 plus P, 38 rounds, just regular 38, and then there's 38 plus P, which is a more powerful round plus power, and then 357 Magnum is the most powerful in that little trio of ones that you could fire out of a firearm chambered in 357. So I would say absolutely go for the 38 option or 357 option and get the Ruger LCR. If you really want the hammer look, then get a hammer on it. I would go for hammerless if you're going to be concealed carrying, just so in the event that you have to pull that thing out really quick, you're not getting snagged on any articles of clothing. So that's what I would do, and hopefully that works out for you and your dad. And make sure that he lets you go out there and shoot that thing. It's so much fun. I spend so much money on stupid shit, but I'm so excited. I really want that. Even talking about the Ruger LCR with you really makes me want to get it, because I want to have a concealed gun that I can feel comfortable with having right on my hip for when I'm downtown in the city here. This isn't fucking Portland here in St. Louis. Like, I don't feel comfortable walking around downtown late at night without a firearm. It feels much better having a gun on your hip and seeing a group of nefarious people across the street walking around and knowing, like, if shit went down, at the very least I could pop a shot off, startle someone, and get hoof it and get the fuck out of here. Like, it's not a kind of city you want to be walking around unprotected. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be funny to get, like, super progressive anti-gun people who are, like, living in, I don't know, what's a really safe city? Portland comes to mind. I don't know if that's safe at all. So whatever the safest city in the U.S. is, I don't know. And then send them around at 11:45 at night on a Saturday night, and on like a Tuesday night. Yeah, when everyone who has to go to work tomorrow is in bed, and it's only the ruffians out and about, and just have them hang out in East St. Louis or South Chicago or Detroit or so. Detroit might even be safe at this point. There's so few people there. Just be like walking around in I Am Legend, probably. Um, Probably. That would be kind of cool, though. I've never just walked around Detroit downtown before, but that would be neat to go check it out now, just to see if the tales are true. I know that it can get really shitty, though, because I have walked around East St. Louis before, and it's like unsettling how desolate it is. You know, if you were to juxtapose that area into Fallout, you wouldn't walk in and be like, "Wait a minute, this looks wrong. This doesn't look like a dystopian universe. It's too new looking." Like, no, it would fit right in. You'd walk right through that area, do a couple quests, and be on to the next area before you even realize that it wasn't a Fallout scene. Like, it's horrific there. It looks awful. But yeah, Ruger LCR, chambered in 357. Absolutely, live it up. Anywho. Hey man, I don't know if you see in the comments, but I talked a little bit about Israel. I might have seen that one, I don't recall. So if you're wondering, it's a pretty regular and technologically progressive place, following and copying a lot of things from the US and stuff. A lot of the Arabic countries around us are pretty underdeveloped, if anything, then by comparison, and we aren't like that. If not some big sand dune with three sand... Jesus Christ, dude. Got a little racist here. Going... it's not some big sand dune with three sand N words riding a camel, but more LA/other cities with a beach in the good places. We have some of the world's best engineers, doctors, computer scientists, army specialists, and a pretty capitalistic society. I know, there's Jews all over the place over there. Very successful, intelligent people. Places like Tel Aviv have a very vivid and alive nightlife, and pretty much everyone here likes to party, drink, and do stupid shit. A lot of the stuff you guys hear with problems with the Arabs is also a legit thing for us, which is why there's mandatory military service, and the military is, if anything, at least more involved in our daily life than most other places. But don't let me fool you. It's really just in the way that the soldiers assimilate into the working force after the army than anything. Life is pretty much regular here. The wars are a big deal, but we have a strong military, a very intelligent middle class, and some of the world's most retarded politicians. I'm sure you can relate. And also, blah, 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 I'm a pre-MW2 era fan of yours, love your shit, and was very sad when you left for 2 years, and if you leave again, I will hunt you down and kill you. Alright, well, I would expect nothing less. So, yeah, that's interesting. I would love to visit Israel someday. I'd have to figure out where to go first. You know, I had that guy last week or a couple weeks ago or something mentioning Nazareth, that he lived in Nazareth, which would be so cool to see an old place like that where it's like, oh my god, it's just like if I went to New Zealand and I was like, that's Mount Doom right there. That's fucking Mount Doom. I'm standing in Mordor, and I get like a picture of me there. It'd be sweet. This would be even cooler than that, because it'd be like, I'm in Bethlehem, dude. This is like where that book that's 2,000 years old talked about that little fucker being born in a bunch of hay, ruining dinner for that cow. Did you ever think about that? That's a side of the tale that doesn't get mentioned. That asshole Mary goes, hey, can I stay in your inn? And that guy goes, I'm real sorry, we're all booked. You can go stay in our stable, just please don't make a mess, don't throw any parties, like please, we're really poor people, we don't have a lot of money. You can stay there rent-free for the night. Just please don't fuck it up, you know. Just share the room with the animals. They head in there. First thing they do is start fucking it up, getting afterbirth and blood and viscous prenatal fluids all over the floor. The goats are probably nibbling, eating it, getting their faces all red and bloody and gross. And then they take that gross little kid and they go, oh, where's a good place for this? Where's a good place for this? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Horse and Mr. Cow, were you eating that hay? Well, I'm going to lay this nasty little afterbirth fuck, son of God there, son of a bitch of a god, in this little manger, and then now you can't eat the rest of the evening. And before the innkeep wakes up the next morning, we're going to ditch out like a bunch of low-life fucks and just find somewhere else to freeload for a while as he walks in and sees this murder scene. This CSI, looks like Dexter didn't show up for work today, murder scene. Just all over in the fucking manger, all over the hay. All the animals are traumatized. They don't understand what's happened. They've never seen a little four-appendaged ape come out of a lady screaming and kicking, reciting to God, and then 3 old guys just show up with presents that they don't get even to talk about or see. It's not cool. It was a really bitch move, but it would be cool to go see where that happened. You know? What the fuck was that about? Where did that come from? God, good God. Anyway, on that note,
That's been the Truly Terrible podcast for this week. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know how you feel about us switching the show to Wednesday. The purpose of that would primarily be to make sure that me and Melissa are on together every week. I think you guys have enjoyed that quite a bit. I enjoy doing it alone because I can go off the rails and talk about whatever the hell I want. But I also like having her around because she does a good job of sometimes I'll say something that has the potential to be really funny if I riff on it. But if I'm talking alone, I don't have a sounding board to kind of go off of, And so I'll just kind of pass over it. But she does a good job of acting as a sounding board and helping me out. Regardless, why the fuck am I talking about this now? Should have ended on a high note. So let me know if you think switching to Wednesday is a good idea. I love you, and I can't wait to talk to you next time.